Decent Christian Talk, episode number 101. Hey guys, this is part 2 of our Best of 2019 podcast. We are counting down our favorite albums of the year.
It's the better part, actually.
Yeah, this is like the top half. You're halfway through, but this is going to get better.
Nathaniel's still here, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I made it to 2 episodes in a row.
Yeah, I just want to point out that means I'm doing consecutive
Wow.
shows. That's
I think our cost just went up. All right, guys, check it out. Thank you again for joining us.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are now entering the Decent Christian Talk podcast. Enjoy.
All right, so my number 4. This might be the most talked about album of the year, and that's why it made my top 10, is because, first of all, it's hard to deny the immensity, the just overwhelming enormity of this album, and that is Kanye West's Sunday Service. Or what is those? Jesus King, yeah, Jesus King, sorry.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sunday Service is a thing. But Jesus is King, that album, I don't dig every track. Some of the tracks really do, but I mean, I love them. They hit and they hit hard. But I don't know how to explain this album, like as to why it appeals to me, because it's not something I would typically listen to. And that's not to say I love rap. This style of what he did on this, one of my favorite albums is 808s and Heartbreaks. So
Right.
It's not that I love Kanye. This style of what he did is not my normal go-to, but I absolutely love this album, and I think as far as impact, I don't think any other album came close to the impact of that album this year. And I'm super excited to hear that Dr. Dre is actually producing the second one.
Ooh,
Yeah.
That is exciting. I did not know that.
I'm just
Yeah.
excited there's a second one in general. And one of the things, I don't know, it might have been one of you that I was talking to. No, it was Nathaniel.
That would still be one of us.
I know, but no, he said
I'm here today.
I listened to Nathaniel's review of this album was I listened to this album and I thought, man, it's really hard to make a good Christian hip hop album, and Kanye proved that. Mm-hmm. And he said, I am excited for Kanye to go with his newfound faith back into Kanye music, because he changed his style a lot for this album to kind of, I don't know if it was necessarily to fit a mold, or I don't know enough about
I honestly think it's what he was vibing on at the
Yeah,
time.
no, and
That's really how Kanye works. It's like a lot of what he's listening to influences a lot of what he
Yeah.
does. So I'm betting after he, had this encounter and this change of faith, I'm betting he jumped onto a bunch of Fred Hammond, who's on the album, and I bet you he jumped into that genre really hard, and probably was raised on it too. So
I felt like this was kind of like an announcement album too, because
Yeah.
it was 10 songs maybe and only 20 minutes long. So it was like, hey, this is the direction
Yeah,
I'm going
I agree
now.
with that.
This is where I'm at. Be ready.
yep, dipping your toes in the water. Here you go.
We'll get into this a little bit later, but I'm just interested what happens with CHH Christian hip hop going forward, and if this kind of, over the last decade, it has been a pretty successful genre, but it's had some weird turns in the last couple years for some reason. And that's a long story, but a lot of that's political and blah blah blah.
like I said, I'm more excited for album 2 of Kanye.
I'm really interested to see if this makes CHH even more popular.
I hope so, but then
Because there's a lot of people that are like, oh my gosh, Christian hip hop. I've never heard of this.
Listen, it's hard to deny. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves here, but you got Kanye killing it out there. Then you got NF, you got Lecrae, you got people who are getting major attention.
Well,
it's hard to deny the impact of the genre.
Oh, the number one song, I don't know how long it trended number one, but what's his name? The Fortnite song.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, if anyone's a fan of video games or anything, Fortnite had this big reveal for Chapter 2, and this Christian artist, right at the beginning, of Fortnite Season 2. His song just comes blaring onto your screen, and it was crazy amount of downloads. It was on every famous video game esports award winner, professional.
Yep.
Like, it was everywhere. And it was kind of cool. Like, I've heard of this guy.
I've DJ'd weddings in the past where people have come to me and they're like, "Hey, can you play that song Church Clap?" I'm like KB? Like, yeah. And all of a sudden, like, all these people who are at a wedding
KB.
are like out there doing this dance routine to it. And I'm like, what is happening?
There's a dance routine?
Oh, and it goes hard too. Like, it's incredible.
Yep. All right, my number 4. It's an album that we talked about before. It's called Now Not Yet. It's by Half Alive. Yeah, this band kind of came on my radar pretty recently. I saw them on Jimmy Kimmel, and kind of looked into their lyrics, and I was like, okay. And then I listened to the songs even more, and I was like, okay, there's definitely some Mute Math stuff going on here, some 21 Pilots stuff going on here. I don't know if they're as good live as 21 Pilots. They're pretty young, so maybe they're still trying to figure that out. And I don't know if they have the stage presence that Tyler has either. But I absolutely love this album, and I hope that they stick around because I don't know, they write songs a lot like Switchfoot does. That kind of makes you think, and the lyrics of their songs are so good.
It's interesting you say Switchfoot.
Okay.
Because that's next on my list. Interesting. Now, I will make an announcement. I just counted. I have 11 albums here.
That's not going to happen. You got to get rid of one.
All right. Red is an EP, The Evening Hate.
Okay.
Which is an excellent song. And they have another song, I'm terrible with names. Everybody knows that. But there's 2 songs. It's only about 4 songs long.
Is this the one you're eliminating from your list?
Red?
Yeah.
I'm just talking about it a lot and pretending like I'm going to eliminate it.
Shout out.
Hey, this is 4.5 on my list.
Right.
Okay.
Because it's an EP. So 4.5 Red with The Evening Hate. Fantastic. And I'm hoping that this is it preclude? No, that's not the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
What? Yeah, I'm hoping
the prequel
to a very good album. I hope nothing precludes them from releasing it.
All right.
Number 4 on my list is Native Tongue from Switchfoot.
Okay.
And it happened so early on in the year that when I was compiling this list, I thought, shoot, I bet that's 2018. Is it? No, it's not. It's 2019. Yeah. And I feel like this was a good album. Not my favorite Switchfoot album ever, but I feel like Native Tongue is definitely something that I listen to all the time. That song is fantastic.
It's my second favorite Switchfoot album.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm going to just tell you why I love this album, this new one, this Native Tongue.
Go for it.
Because there's so much Ryan Tedder all over it.
Ooh.
For those who don't know, amazing.
At DC Talk.
Amazing producer.
What?
And he put his touch on this, and it's very, and that can be a bad thing, good thing. I mean, a lot of people complain, it doesn't seem like there's enough guitar on it, and that's a very Switchfoot thing, is to have guitar. I get it.
Yeah.
But I guarantee you, I haven't seen this tour live or anything, but I guarantee you live, the guitars are there.
I mean, they put out a live EP with the guitars in it.
Yeah. It didn't make my top 10, but it was like, right there.
Well, Switchfoot's another one of those bands that you have to see live to fully understand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think the War Inside. Wait, is that? Yeah, the War Inside. Okay.
Yeah.
The Devil Wears.
What are you asking me?
The Devil Wears Prada has a song called
Okay.
The War. Switchfoot has a song called The War Inside.
Right.
But if you were to ask me, if I'd never seen Switchfoot live, I probably would have listened to that song once and then put it down. I saw it live, and is probably in my top 5, if not my top 3 favorite Switchfoot songs of all time. I absolutely love that song, and I want to see the Native Tongue album in concert, and I have not yet been able to do that.
This is probably the first Switchfoot song that's never made a top 10 of mine.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know why.
Are you okay?
I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you why. It's because I love it.
That's not
probably
entirely
true.
No. But listen, you guys are massive Switchfoot fans. I'm a surfacey Switchfoot fan.
Yeah, you always give us a hard time when we mention it.
No, I love. That's just because it's easy. It's so easy to just pick on you guys for that because I don't know why. But no, I love Switchfoot, but not like you guys do.
Yeah.
I love this album.
Yeah.
That tells me that it was geared more towards people who like my taste in music than it was who like your taste in music. So that would make sense.
If this was a top 15, they would have made my list. I have them down as an honorable mention. One song that really stuck out to me was a song called Dig New Streams. And for some nerds like Brendan and I that listen to that song, they probably go a little bit crazy because part of the song is in 4/4 time, part of the song is in 7/8 time. Mm-hmm. And we are friends with the guy named John Mark Painter.
I've heard of him.
I don't know if you've ever heard of him, but he played the brass on that song. And even he said he had to really kind of think about the time signatures in that song. But that's a song for me on that album that kind of reminds me of some of even the Legend of Chin stuff. But
I felt like
I really like
when
that
I was
song.
listening to this.
I dug that song.
I bet Switchfoot's just sitting around. How many albums is this for them? It's
12,
it's double
11 or
digits.
12.
It's a lot.
I wonder.
And I just think they were like, what if we did this? And they just threw a curveball and I think that they have the tenure and have reached a legendary status where they can do stuff
any
like
song in 7/8 is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To change the tempo from 4/4 to 7/8 in the middle of the song is stupid. I mean,
I'll have to ask John what was more complicated, the brass on this or the tuba on the VeggieTales intro.
Oh man.
yeah. I mean, that was more of a solo, so it may have been more pressure.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
I'm staying pretty quiet about this album for a reason.
Okay.
This
Okay.
Switchfoot album.
I got you.
But my number 4, we're still on number 4, correct?
Yes.
All Hail, Norma Jean. I was so pumped for this album. So last year, I think it was the first time that I got to see Norma Jean live. And Josiah showed me this band quite a few years ago. I kind of went back and forth on whether I liked them or not. And then when Polar Similar hit, I was like, holy mackerel, this band is something that I love. But then I kind of always judge bands by two levels. When I listen to their album and then when I see them live. And if they can take it to the next level live, then they definitely make it. And the first time I saw them and heard his voice, it sent chills down my spine. It's amazing. But this album, I couldn't wait for. It's been a little bit of time since they put one out.
I have a few, maybe 2 years.
2 years.
I don't know. I'm not good at math.
Polar Similar was so good that it feels like it's been a while, you know? But, definitely love this album. You have to go check it out. Norma Jean's one of those bands that's just been crazy good for years.
I would describe them as a tidal wave in concert. Just like you.
That's accurate.
It's.
My ribs still hurt.
Well, when there's. We've been talking all night about how bands perform live, and they're just absolutely larger than life. And they hit you so hard right in the face, and then their next song comes and they hit you right in the face again.
Yeah.
And it's just over and over, and it's so intense. And that's what I love. I go back to, I remember Gabe showing me the song Face Face. Wasn't a huge fan of that. I remember when Memphis Will Be Laid to Waste came out, I started to like them. When they switched some band members up and they switched their sound up a little bit. Mm-hmm. They went from the thrash style that the Chariot has, because the singer from Norma Jean moved on to the Chariot, and he's moved on to, I think, 68 from there. But I don't know, their sound, the only way to describe it is tidal wave, just hurricane, and just absolutely knock you off your feet. And I got to see them live. Nathaniel wasn't there.
Yeah.
I had a fever of 103, and it was worth every second of
Yeah, I
it.
missed out. The first time I actually heard his voice was when Silent Planet was playing. And
Wow.
then
Yeah.
he walked out on stage, and I was like, oh, yeah, he's part of this song. And then he started singing, and I was like, oh, my goodness. I cannot wait till they play their set. This is going to be incredible.
When you talk about, I mean, everyone can say what they want about a screamer in
Yeah.
a metal band, but I've seen some people. I'm going to list a day to remember. I'm going to call them out. I don't know how many tours he'd been on in a row, how many nights he'd played on. I saw a day to remember on Warped Tour, and he didn't have the voice. He didn't have the intensity. He didn't have the. When you go to a metal show, you expect just absolute chaos.
Yeah.
And he struggled to get through the show. Norma Jean, his voice gets stronger and bigger, and I'm so in awe of it, and that's my.
You
number
guys
3
know
album.
I'm not a massive
Yes.
metal fan of the genre metal you guys are into.
Yes.
But that is a genre that if you're going to get into it,
Norma Jean is where to start.
No. As an artist, as a performer,
Yes.
you better know that you have the ability to bring it every night.
It's hard.
Because that is not, I'm telling you, that is murder on your vocals. Murder. Absolute. I mean, I don't understand why any vocalist out there is like, you know what I want to do for the rest of my life? I want to be a scream singer, because I get it. I get the appeal of it, but I'm going to tell you, that's a short-lived career if you do it wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been doing it Corey Brandon's been doing it for 20-some years with Norma Jean. And, I mean, you look at the people that have lasted as long as they have, and August Burns Red comes to mind. And just what they can do live is just sets them apart from what a lot of metal bands that are one-and-done kind of albums. Because not only is it physically demanding, but it starts to become emotionally demanding and mentally demanding.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I think, I mean, in music in general, but alcohol and drugs and a lot of things in the metal scene, I feel like are worse than they would be in maybe a country green room. So where were we? Norma Jean?
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Number 3.
Number 3.
Norma Jean's my number 3. All right, go ahead.
Well, all right. Mine will be quick too, because it's another one we've talked about. It was the Violence EP from My Epic. It was a EP that came out in May, and Corey Brandon's on that as well.
Yep.
And there's so many good songs in here. Blood Angles, Blacklight. It's one of those albums that when I run, this is one of those that I listen to, because it just kind of helps me get through that last leg. And
You know who else is really good to run to is Chevelle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But
Yeah.
they have a similar beat. They don't hit as hard as Chevelle, but they have that same
I
kind
used to
of
run to Send the Pain Below.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't need to say much about that. Number 3. Who's next?
Norma Jean is my number 3.
So yeah, you already did yours. You did yours. All right. So number 3 for me is going to be one of my favorite bands of all time. This might be considered a cheat. I don't think it is, because it's an album they put out this year. But
Is it last year's model?
No, it's live.
Okay.
It's a live album. But it is the 30th anniversary of The Cure, live from Hyde Park in London, England, and it is phenomenal. These guys, 30 years later, still are one of the top acts, and it's crazy because they've had like a there was a little bit there where nobody was talking about them, and all of a sudden 2019 they're just everywhere again. And crazy thing about them and the reason I'm putting this into my list is because they were supposed to put an album out this year, and Robert Smith actually said he's going to be very angry and upset if they don't put an album out this year. Well, we got like 3 weeks left, bub.
Couple days.
So I'm thinking it's not going to happen.
Maybe a Christmas present.
Yeah, that would be sick. So since that's not happening, this is my pick for that. And I mean, it's if you like The Cure, it's got everything on it that you could want live, and they're amazing. So
You guys,
I'm sure you two don't even care about The Cure, Josiah and Nathaniel.
you did a song.
Don't.
You did a cover of them with somebody, right?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Did a cover of Love Song, and somebody jumped off on stage with us,
Yeah.
Kevin.
You had to be
He was
there, I guess.
escorted off promptly.
Yes, get off my stage, sir.
It's Kevin Max, if you're wondering who we're talking about. Friend of the podcast.
So coming in at my number 3, I didn't do 3.
You didn't do number 3? You skipped it?
No, I did 4, and then you used my 4.
Don't
and then
confuse.
It got
Don't
confused.
confuse
Just the
them.
people aren't here. Go ahead.
All right. So my number 3. This was starting to get hard down towards the top.
Right.
I
I
couldn't
agree.
pick do I want to tie these or whatnot. My number 3 is the Devil Wears Prada, the act. These guys are another one that if you see live, and album to album, just always bring it for this genre of music. Definitely in my top 3 for bands that I've seen live, but I'm going to keep quiet on this one a little bit because I have a feeling it may be somewhere else along the lines.
It might be. It's my number 2.
Oh. Well, have you done a number 3 yet?
Yeah, he did.
I did number 3. It was
Well,
Norma
then
Jean.
You can start talking about
Go
it.
ahead.
too.
So
Num-
now you guys hear it. Go.
Number 2 on my list is the Devil Wears Prada, the act. It's not called Please Say No, contrary to
Oh,
what
I'm
Gabe
sorry.
posted. There's a song called Please Say No. This album is a complete. We talked about Switchfoot being different. This whole album is just completely different than what the Devil Wears Prada has ever done before. There's a lot more clean vocals. There's a lot more. I don't know. It's just different. The lead singer plays guitar on a few songs. It's got more of like, I don't know, an ambiance kind of feel. And my mom, friend of the podcast, Annie Jones, described.
You're gonna
Nathaniel-
make her cry.
I know, but the way Nathaniel described them live is they're a metal band, but it's completely different than what Norma Jean does. When the Devil Wears Prada plays live, it's we talked about how Phil Keggy is like an artist. I feel like when the Devil Wears Prada plays live, it's just so clean. And I always say that they're the Switchfoot of metal, where when you see
Interesting.
Switchfoot live, it's just different. And I mean, Switchfoot sounds a lot like different bands on the radio that they're played with, but the Devil Wears Prada is just different when you see them live, and it's really good. And this album is weird, but I really liked it. It's something they experimented with, and I'd like to see more of this in the future. It's not called Please Say No, Gabe.
I'm sorry. Number 2 for me is an album called Zeal by King's Kaleidoscope. I did not think that this album could be topped when the album came out in April, and it's just absolutely top to bottom. It's so good. Chad Gardner, who is the lead vocalist and kind of the brains behind this, is just unbelievable lyricist, great guitar player, great artist, and he's another guy that left Mars Hill. He's been on our show before. He's talked a lot about mental health and all that stuff. It means a lot to us, and this album is just it carries the theme of Zeal, and there's just so many good tracks on here. I can't talk about all of them, but Naked Feet and Holy Fire is probably my favorite track off that album. There's so many other good stuff on here. You have to check it out. It's incredible. I love it. Who's next? Number 2.
Number 2. So, number 2, Switchfoot. I am the crazed Switchfoot fan that Brendan was talking about. I love these
Crazed
guys.
is about right.
Yeah, so they went on a bit of a hiatus before this album.
They
1
even
year.
announced it.
Yeah, we were done, right? Like this was like it was the end of Switchfoot, right?
They went on an intermission at DC Talk.
But I mean, I thought I remember like it was like
They didn't really say. They kind of said, like, we're going to hang it up and think about it.
They
and I
just
was
said
like,
they're taking the year off. That's all they said.
I had just had this heartbreak from Under Oath that did that. And then Switchfoot is like, well, see ya. And I was like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to listen to music again. What am I going to do with my
Yeah,
life?
well, imagine one of your favorite bands doing that, and 20 years later, you still got nothing. So,
Oh, yeah.
But they came back and they did not disappoint. They continue to put out front to back albums. And man, this one was different. It was different than what they've done before. But I think they're one of the bands that they've continued to kind of tweak their sound here and there to keep up with the times, but they haven't gone to the extreme of completely sounding like what everybody else is sounding like. Like, they just stay up with people and then are like, yeah, we're going to make it sound better. Especially,
a step ahead.
yeah, there's nothing wrong with introducing those elements, but you can't allow those elements to become something completely different for who your band is.
Yeah, exactly. I think they've done a good job with keeping those elements in there to stay up, but they haven't completely morphed into sounding like the same mundane stuff that we hear sometimes. My favorite songs off this album were Let It Happen, Voices, Joy, Invincible, and Strength to Let Go. They also put out a Native Tongue live album with this album, which was phenomenal.
Which I liked better.
Yes, and I was about to say this might be the only album they've put out that I haven't seen live so far. I did not make it out to see them, and they're just like their show, like we were talking about Toby Mac earlier. They are performers. They put on an excellent show every time you see them, and that's why I think the Native Tongue live album was better.
Did you not go see them because you're not allowed to go see them anymore because you rushed the stage the last time?
No, I haven't got a restraining order yet,
Okay.
but
I knew that you were going to like this album
At John Foreman.
because you're a drummer, and I feel like they changed up the drum element a lot. Gabe talked about how they changed the time and different things, which I have no idea what that means. But I know when I listened to this album, it's just, that's one thing that I noticed. The drums were definitely different when they were playing. And you as a drummer who've played, I don't know, how many Switchfoot songs just in the basement when I'm trying to sleep. Yeah, but I knew you would enjoy this album.
So John Foreman is just like lyrically one of my favorite people, and I think that's why I consistently like him. Even if there's an album that I kind of like on, he consistently writes lyrics that I think are in your face, but they're not K-Love-ish, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
He's very bold.
My number 2 and my number 1 were very hard for me to pick between. And ultimately, I had to go with which one I listened to the most. So my number 2 is "Surviving" by Jimmy Eat World. Absolutely incredible album. A lot of people. This is one of those bands that I saw comments on Facebook, and people are like, "This is so different and so far removed from where you guys were writing stuff with the middle." I'm like, if the middle is the only Jimmy Eat World song you know nothing about Jimmy Eat World. Actually, this album is very Jimmy Eat World. Are there some different elements on it? Yes, but like the song 555 is very different, but it's one of my favorite tracks. So it's just a solid album.
Yeah, I enjoyed that album. It was really good. All right, so we're about to unveil our number ones.
Drum roll.
I wonder if it's
Okay.
going to be unanimous.
All right, so
I'm wondering.
I
kinda
guarantee
think-
you it will not be unanimous.
Really?
Yeah.
Wait, how is that? I don't know. Okay.
All right, so before we head into that, I have a few honorable mentions to name. Starflyer 59, Young in My Head, Our Boy, Jason Wisdom, Death Therapy, Voices, Leland, Better Word, Pedro the Lion, Phoenix. I mean, there's been so much stuff this year that...
I think I know who your number 1 is.
Oh, I'm sure you do. Our boy Aaron Cole, who was he was our newcomer of the year a few years ago, and he just won New Artist of the Year. Like the Dove Awards, you're 3 years behind. What's up?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hire us.
Yes. Anyway, War of Ages, Void is another album that I really liked. All right, so number 1.
Can I honorable mention?
Yeah,
Let's
you
go
will.
all the way
Okay,
around. Honorable
all right,
mentions.
go ahead.
All right. So my honorable mentions, these are all cheating. First of all, Death Therapy is number 4.7 on my list because I completely forgot.
No.
I love that album.
Yeah.
all right, continuing. That's my bad. There's a lot of albums.
Sorry, Jason.
I just didn't list it on my top 10. I love that album.
It's a good album.
It's right in there with Red, right?
Okay.
Right below Switchfoot, right
Say above Red.
above Red.
Okay, so all right, good.
All right. So my honorable mentions are all things that would have been on my list if they did not come out in 2018. And that is Fit for a King, Dark Skies. It came out in September 2018. But one of my most listened to albums this year, Silent Planet, which I mentioned already, When the End Began, November 2018. And Toby Mac with his album that came out on my birthday in 2018 in October. But these are 3 albums that if they were not cheating, they would have been on my top 10 list. So honorable mention to just 3 of my most listened to albums this year.
My honorable mentions are Silent Planet as well. And then I guess if I knew we were allowed to cheat, I could have slipped this one into my top 10, but I didn't know that was happening. But Beartooth Disease, because they came out with deluxe edition in
That was my
2019.
most listened to album this year.
That album, it took me so long to listen to it that I thought it came out in 2019 originally, and sadly it didn't. So it didn't make my top 10, but that album is phenomenal. You have to go listen to that.
Okay.
My honorable mentions are my wife, my children. Jonas Woods put out an album this year.
Yeah.
Kevin Max Romeo Drive was this year, correct?
No.
No. Well, it's still
The
okay.
vinyl release.
That's right, the vinyl. That's right. So, yeah, that one's going to get an honorable mention for me. Also, Kevin Max and Michael Tate's.
There you go.
Listen, I got to do this. If you like Christmas music, if you don't like Christmas music, Kevin Max and Michael Tate put out a version of
Have Yourself a Merry
Have
Little
Yourself
Christmas.
a Merry Little Christmas. And I'm going to tell you, it's absolutely gorgeous from start to finish. And, yeah,
Like Rat Pack Lounge stuff.
so good. So
Way different than you would expect from them.
If
Yeah.
I would have picked any Christmas song for them to do, that would have been number 1, and then Oh Holy Night would have been number 2. And I'm hoping that this is just
yeah, I got to
the
hear
beginning.
a rough mix of another one, and I'll tell you that there is going to be. Kevin's put it publicly. There's going to be a full album next year, but
Yeah.
I got to hear a rough mix of another one, and they're going to put the Christ in Christmas. Let me just put it that way.
Yes. Yeah, I mean this has been a stacked year. I mean Demon Hunter put out 2 albums and it didn't make any of our lists.
I
So,
know.
That's crazy. All right, number
Right.
one. All right, number 1. I'm going to do mine first and then you guys can talk about yours. My number 1 album is an album called I Am Origami Part 3 by John Van Dusen.
Knew it. Boom.
And it
I wish I
is-
could have announced it for
It
you.
is the best album of the year for me by far. If you like Jimmy Eat World, why didn't you like this?
I love that album. It was okay. That's in my honorable. That would have been like number 12 for me.
Okay.
It just hey, 10's 10.
I mean,
man.
if you like 1990s rock and roll,
so good.
this is for you. I mean, this is. I remember the first time I listened to this, and I was like, "Did this come out this year?" And it's been so good. He was on our show. We talked about that album in depth, so I won't go into it too far. You can go back and listen to that. But some of my favorite songs, Whatever Makes You Mine, Universal Will to Become, You Don't Know What You're Asking, and there's just so many good songs on here. And now I'm just gonna shut up so you guys
Okay.
can talk about.
So
yours.
here's how I want to do this because we have not. I do not know if we are all on the same page here or not.
Oh,
okay.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. I
I'm
don't know.
99% sure we are.
I don't know. So I'm going to say the first part. You'll say the second part, and you'll say the album name, and we'll just do that. All right. So I could be completely wrong here.
What if I
could
forget
just,
the album
We could
name?
just say the name of the artist together on 3.
Okay. We'll see if this works or not. I don't know.
If not, then you can just talk
all of a
about
sudden,
whoever
I'm
you
busting
think.
out Barry Manilow. All right. You ready?
You ready? 1, 2, 3.
NF, The Search.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, 100% the best album of the year. Listen, I have never listened to a rap album as much as I've listened to this album, and I love rap. This album, it's like I go back to it over and over and over, and every time it just hits so hard. And then he's still putting out tracks. He just put out a track this week. Just still, I mean, dude, just wow.
It's incredible. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. This is his 4th album, correct? I believe.
Yeah,
And I was just kind of wondering if he was going to be able to keep the momentum that he's had from the last 3 albums, because sometimes people put out one good album or one good song and then they just fall flat on their face. And he blew me away again. This album from front to back, and it's got like almost 20 songs on it too.
It's long.
It's very long. So to be able to create an album like that with the creativity, with the artistry, with the lyrics from front to back on a probably over hour-long album is incredible.
This storytelling is one of the reasons that people come back to NF, and it starts with his first album. And I know I've mentioned in our group chat a few times that NF has become YouTube famous. There's a lot of people out there trying to make a name for themselves. Just they start a YouTube channel and all they do is react to music. Well, The Search was one of the #1 trending YouTube videos for weeks.
And I saw at least 30 different reviewers
And
do it.
it's hundreds and thousands, and it's so cool to see people see that song for the first time. They're like, never heard of this guy. I think he's a Christian rapper. I don't know if he plays country.
cuss.
Whatever. I'm going to listen to him. And then to see their reaction when they hear The Search. And a lot of these people are going back and they say, okay, this guy's for real. And they go back and they listen to his first album and they pick maybe 4 or 5 songs. And I don't know how many people have gotten thousands of YouTube subscribers just because they say, okay, we're doing NF's entire catalog. I'm just reacting to all of it because his fan base is crazy.
Well, and the crazy thing about it, I'm going to tell you straight up, a lot of his fan base is not Christian. A
yeah.
lot of it is
Absolutely.
not. But he doesn't stop what he's saying. And it's really incredible. And you know, you look at, going back to the conversation we were having earlier, NF, Lecrae, Kanye, and you got these other guys who are just gaining so much, KB and Andy and all these guys. It seems like, I think NF's going to open up the door for a lot of these guys to start getting their names out there as well. But you got to give mad respect to Toby Mac for recognizing it before just about anybody else.
Yeah, he was a guest on one of Toby Mac's songs.
How many years ago?
That's the first time Brendan heard of him.
Yeah.
It was a long time ago. I know the first time I ever saw NF was live, and he sang the song, How Could You Leave Us? And just bawled my eyes out during that song. And I was a fan immediately. I know Nathaniel tried to get me to listen to him. I was like, it's just another rapper. He's like, not to belittle anybody in rap. It's not my genre. And that's even speaks more volumes to why this is my #1 album. But there is a lot of people coming up in Christian hip hop now. And to be honest, I listen to maybe 1 or 2. You mentioned KB. I like him, but it's not something that I regularly listen to.
Yeah, same with me.
NF is something that I listen to almost every day. And he just put out that new song, and I'm listening to that all the time. If I'm tired of The Search, I go back and listen to Mansion. If I'm tired of Mansion, I go listen to, I can't remember names of people, songs or albums, whatever. I listen to his whole catalog regularly. And you mentioned much of his fan base is not Christian, and that's because he hits real issues that real people deal with every day that a lot of people shy away from. And that's what I talked about when I said Kanye kind of put out his Christian album.
Yeah.
I want Kanye to put out an NF album because I feel like he's got stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he would put out something just absolutely phenomenal if he digs into some of the stuff that NF digs into. No, I mean, they obviously don't have the same issues. They don't live the same life. But Kanye's got problems.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh yeah. And you saw a little bit of that with the one song, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's something along where Kanye's saying the Christians would be the first ones to judge me. It's like, you know, he saw a little bit of that, and he's right.
He is.
He's absolutely right. But you know, this is a kind of interesting, and we'll have to talk about this at some point in time. This has reminded me of that golden era of Christian metal, where it was dominating not just the Christian landscape, but also, you know, and I feel like that's where we're at again, but this time it's Christian hip hop, because you got to throw 21 Pilots into the conversation.
Yes.
And they're one of the biggest bands in the world. You got 21 Pilots, NF, Lecrae, and now you've got Kanye. I mean, it's
21 Pilots and NF have a similar fan base. And
They
it's
do.
funny because
Very much so.
I mentioned all those YouTube people. They get through all the way through NF's catalog and they say, all right, now what you want me to play next? They have 20,000 subscribers because people are tuning in to see what people think of NF because they're that passionate. And almost without fail, their next request is you got to listen to 21 Pilots. And so all these people are starting to listen and stream and react to 21 Pilots songs.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
he even gives a shout out to 21 Pilots on one of his
T.O.P.
songs.
Stressed Out.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, they're all vibing from the same place.
Oh, yeah.
I know NF gets a lot of criticism too because most of his albums kind of carries the same wavelength lyrically, but like you said, it's like it's dealing with real issues. It's consistent because the issues that we deal with all the time are consistent. And you go to concerts and stuff, and it's like 21 Pilot shows. Everybody knows every single word. It's not like, okay, I know the main chorus is done, I'm waiting for it. Okay, now that's all. It's like every single
I
word.
haven't seen him live, but I saw videos of him live, and I couldn't hear him because of the crowd rapping over him. I mean, it was that.
Yeah.
They know it all.
I saw him at Stage AE outside this year, and there were people. I mean, it was an open air. It's the first time I've ever been to an outdoor show there, and I don't know if we could have fit any more people in there. There had to be at least 3,000, if not more, just absolutely jammed, packed into that place. And it was, yeah, like you said, just every word to every song, everybody knew. And it was, I've been to shows where they are popular in secular music. They draw a weird crowd. But honestly, this is one of the best concert experiences I've ever had. And I don't know if it's just NF's fan base, but it wasn't grimy. There weren't people pushing and shoving. There weren't people getting in fights. There weren't people passing out drunk. It was just a wholesome concert experience. And that's not something you always get when you go to someone as big as NF.
Right.
His performances are incredible. I've seen a few other rappers live, and his artistry, from like his imagery on the videos and just everything he does, like he is so drained. He has to be so drained at the end of his shows because of how much emotion and everything he even puts into his live show. Like, it's not just coming out there saying the words and stuff. Like, you can tell that, like, even when he's singing the words on a tour, probably 30, 40 times back to back to back to back nights, like every time he sings it, it's just like, this is really what I feel every time.
Yeah, he's going through those emotions each time he does
Yeah.
those songs. That's got to be, that's
That's
got to be rough.
I mentioned How Could You Leave Us? He was crying on stage when he sang that. I was privileged to be at the first show for The Search, and he sang the song Nate, where he just talks about his whole life, and his voice was breaking, and he was just so emotional because he was reliving his whole life in that song, and it's just so cool. You mentioned that he kind of I don't know if he repeats himself or he follows the same lyrics, but if you go back and listen to his first album to his fourth album, you can see how he's grown emotionally.
Oh, yeah.
And it's slow and it's hard and he's fighting the same demons. He'll beat one demon. He'll go to the next song. That demon will be back. And it's
always a constant battle in life. So,
and it's cool to see how much he's grown, and his fan base, I feel like, has gone on this journey with him, and they're also learning and growing emotionally. There's people going through all kinds of stuff, but it's also cool to see, okay, he beat that demon in album 2, but wait, it's back in album 4, and he's dealing with it again because people deal with that all the time.
Oh yeah, you go around the same mountain. You know, we'll probably need to come off this topic because we got to do some other things.
Yeah,
here,
we'll be here all night.
But I mean, you know, one of the reasons this is so relatable, especially to young people, is look at the opioid crisis that's happening in this country.
Yes.
That's how he lost his mom, and so you know, so many kids are listening to this and going, "Yeah, that's me.
That's my family. That's my parents.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
my
this
uncle."
and so it's hitting home with so many young people. He's speaking their language.
I actually know he had to stop a show after he performed Nate one night. I don't know if he canceled the rest of it, but he like stopped it in the middle of Nate and left the stage, and then had to come back.
Wow.
I don't know if he came back or if he canceled the rest of it, but
Well, Gabe,
Yeah,
are you still here?
I'm here. All right, that is our list, top 10. We have a couple more categories before we wrap up, and these will be a little more quick.
Yep.
I think. Do we have a favorite song of the year?
The Search.
The
Yeah,
Search.
I put the search up there.
I agree.
And it's the best song of the year. I would probably put Norma Jean.
You like it better than Time?
Oh, yeah. The Search is much.
Okay.
But I feel like Time is his radio hit.
Yeah.
But it doesn't relate to me because I haven't been dumped in years. I don't even have a girlfriend. It's just not hitting home with me. But The Search, I just turned 30. I'm still looking for the
Yeah.
answers in life.
Sure.
I'm still looking for a wife. Hopefully, next year at this time, I will appreciate time more because I will have been dumped a couple more times. But I think, like I said,
only hope.
Norma Jean with their song With Errors, or
Yeah.
The Devil Wears Prada with their song Chemical, or Devil Wears Prada with their song The Thread. I probably enjoy those songs more, but The Search is by far the best. And then Leave Me Alone's right there with it.
So search is probably top for me, but I have to put Scars by Toby. Because that song took on a whole new meaning
Facts.
with everything he went through, and I can't listen to
Yeah,
that song
I can't
now
either.
without
I haven't listened to it since.
tearing up. And I'm not going to get into all that. That's his story to tell, but basically, you know, it's a song he wrote to his son as he was dealing with some emotional stuff and just that growing up process. And as most of you probably know, Toby lost his son a couple months ago. So, yeah.
Yeah. Mine was a song called Naked Feet and Holy Fire by King's Kaleidoscope. I really liked it a lot. So I'll move on to the next category.
You got a song of the year, Nathaniel?
I said The Search as
Okay,
well.
I didn't know.
So is NF your favorite artist of the year too, everybody?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm going to put him as the album of the year, yeah, I'm going to give him Artist of the Year, too.
He's the artist of the
All
year.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not even going to say mine. Whatever.
No, go ahead. No,
Okay. Mine was Citizens because they released two albums. One was Fear that made my list, and another was an EP called Waking Up to Never Die. And I like them both a
There's
lot.
nothing wrong with that, Gabe.
Okay.
We still
okay.
embrace you.
We
love
still
you.
All
love
right.
you.
Thank you. All right. Comeback artist. Did anybody have a comeback artist?
Yes, I did.
All right. Go ahead.
Blindside released
okay.
a one-off song.
Yeah. Hopefully not a one-off.
Hopefully not a one-off, but it was lit or fire
Yeah.
or whatever they could
That
say
was
now.
almost my best song of the year.
It was that good.
Yeah.
And gosh, I love Blindside. And please be my comeback artist of 2019 and 2020 and beyond. I miss you.
Mine is a little bit non-traditional because he didn't really go away. But Peter Furler. is
Oh,
my
yeah.
comeback.
You got to get,
Yeah, that
Just for the song Never, was it Never Setting
Never
Sun?
Setting Sun.
That song alone returned to Newsboys form like nobody's business. If that was the only track they put out, I would have been happy.
Yeah. I mean, it's good to see Steve Taylor's kind of back in the fold with them. So maybe that's setting something up for the next release. I'd like to see more of their indie rock kind of sound with step up to the microphone. But yeah, I mean, it was good to hear him on a release, and I know he's done some solo stuff and he's done stuff with Steve Taylor. But I mean, back with the Newsboys, that's pretty cool. We got to see him with the Newsboys last year, and him doing "Lost the Plot" is still one of my favorite live memories ever. So
Why? Because he shouted you out before the song.
yeah, whatever.
All right, so my comeback artist of the year, I'm going to use my cheat now and use two.
All right.
So Oh Sleeper, definitely, coming back from their last album they put out in 2011 and then this one this year. And then also, I guess kind of a comeback because we didn't know what was going to happen when they announced it, but Switchfoot. I mean, when they announced it, you're just kind of like, what's going to happen? But it's just exciting to see that they came back.
I have no comeback artists because my artists are all refusing to come back. So
At
We'll
DC
talk
Top.
about that in a second.
Well, since Brenda doesn't have any, I'll mention Under Oath.
The
No.
Cure. The Cure would be. I mean,
All
that,
right.
that would. I would give them.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, my newcomer of the year, I think Nathaniel and I both agree, Empty. I had a higher ranked newer artist, but because Empty, we saw them live, it kind of pushed them over the top for me. And
Who was higher ranked?
kind of that combination. Half Alive
Okay.
was the one spot over them, but they actually had a couple singles released last year, so I used that reason to not nominate them. So I had Empty. You know, they've got a lot of shoes to fill on this show because we've had Aaron Cole, we've had Denz. They had a #1 song.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of newcomers that we've named that. We just
we're-
kind of rocket strap.
Rocket strappers
Yeah.
right here.
Yep.
Straight to the championship.
That's what we do. You want to be big? Come talk to us.
Who's your newcomer of the year?
Inhaler.
Ooh, that's a good one.
So if you're not familiar and you're looking at me like deer in headlights, so
No, I know who that
okay,
is.
Inhaler. If you listeners out there in the podcast world, Inhaler is the lead singer is the son of another famous lead singer named Bono of U2,
Yes.
and this is his son, and I want to say his name's. Totally drawing a blank on his name. That's horrible.
Bono Jr.
It's Houston. Last name's Houston.
He sounds like Bono from the Joshua Tree.
Honestly, yeah. So if you love old U2 back in the day and you're like, I don't like all the other new stuff, I don't know what's wrong with you. But anyhow, if you only like the old U2, check out Inhaler because he's got that vocal quality, and the music that they're doing is actually very, very reminiscent of some of that early U2, but with a modern twist on it. They kill it. I cannot stress enough Inhaler. And I'm hoping, I heard there's a new track actually supposed to drop this month.
Oh, cool.
And a friend of mine just went and saw them in Washington, D.C. and said they were amazing live.
And for the record, his name is Eli Houston.
Yeah, I wanted to say Elijah, and I knew that wasn't right. Eli. There you go.
I bet it's short for Elijah.
Yeah, it might be.
Well, my newcomer of the year is a full-on cheat code. It's Kanye.
Oh, okay.
I actually wrote Kanye LOL in parentheses.
It's
I mean, it works for differently to the CCM genre, which
He's-
I wouldn't put him in it, but yeah.
brand new. I know I was at work
Like
and
Born
someone,
Again? Is that what you mean?
Well, he's brand new to a lot of people. I know. Like I said, I was at work and someone said I was listening to K-Love on the way to work today, and I heard a Kanye.
Wait, hold up.
West song.
Hold up. They're playing it on K-Love?
They're playing-
Yes, they are.
Are you serious right now?
Yes. And they said that this week at work, and that is when he became my newcomer of the year, because people are like, what?
Hey, listen, whoever's in charge of programming at K-Love, if you're going through there and you see the song Jesus Walks, do not.
Don't play
Do
that.
not play.
Don't play that one.
That's what
Okay.
I was just thinking. Can you imagine?
Hey, let's check out this track. Oh.
Yikes.
Becky,
No, but-
Becky wrecks her minivan. And
I've never heard Kanye before. What is this 808 Heartbreaks?
So he is my newcomer of the year, and like I said, I'm excited for Kanye Chapter 2.
yeah. No, okay, I give you that because I'm going to tell you, like,
You talked about impact.
yeah, no, it's huge because a lot of people I know of, and I'm going to be honest with you, this kind of pisses me off, but there's a lot of people out there that they would not have given Kanye West a second glance. But now that he proclaims Jesus, they're all out there listening to it, which I get. Okay, I get. You got standards, and that's cool. But it just like all of a sudden he's an okay artist because he talks your language.
Yeah.
That really bothers me.
Yeah. I my hope is, you mentioned K-Love and Erwan's been playing him. I hope that opens the door for more from that genre being played on those stations, and that kind of opens the door for more alternative. And
I don't know if they play Time,
I doubt it.
No.
but I mean,
Doubt it.
Time is ranking on every other radio
Yeah.
station. Why is it
I wonder
not?
if NFF's ever even seen the light of day. I doubt it.
I doubt it.
But I want to apologize for my slip a minute ago. I thought we were on Bad Christian, and
It's okay. We'll allow it.
We're just on Decent Christian.
All right. A couple more questions, and
Not
then we
too
can
graphic,
head
but not
off.
PG.
2020. Does anybody have anything that they're kind of watching out for?
Speaking of Bad Christian, Emery is supposed to put something out in
right.
2020. I'm excited about that. Danger Scene put out the song
Okay.
Poison this year.
Yeah.
And I did not honorable mention them because I want a full album, and I text them and tell them that all the time, and I think they're tired of me. So 2020, at Michael and Matthew Danger, bring
Yes.
me a full-length album. I need it.
I have Lecrae.
Ooh.
Ooh.
He has not put out anything for a year and a half, which is very, very long for him.
Yeah. That is a long time for him.
And I wonder if he's just kind of watching what's
I
going
bet.
on with Kanye.
He's sitting back and watching, catching the scene. figure
And
out what's gonna
enough.
do. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a lot has happened in the last couple of years with him. A lot of communities have kind of gone against him for some reason, but I'm curious what he's gonna do next. Commercially, his last couple albums haven't done as well as Anomaly, and you know, when he looks up and sees Kanye kind of at the top of the list and NF kind of surpassing him, I wonder what, you know, and I just mean that by album sales.
Right.
I wonder what's next for Lecrae.
Yeah.
Yeah. So something I'm excited for is August Burns Red has been writing new music, and I believe they have actually already started recording some of it. I think, honestly, that might be the only album I even know coming up for 2020 for my brain, but...
So for me, it's The Cure. Coming back to it because it was supposed to happen. The Cure, U2 is supposedly there's a potential there for something to drop.
There always is.
Yeah, and hey, who knows? Maybe something from DC Talk. So
Kanye?
Well, I was going to mention them because next year is the 25th anniversary of an album called Jesus Freak.
haven't heard it.
It was the one before Supernatural, not that.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yeah.
After New Thing, and then I think they also did. No, that wasn't them. Never mind.
Anyway, yeah, I'm curious what they might be planning. I'm sure they have something in mind, but you know, with the whole situation with Toby, you know, plans might change. We don't know, but I'm going to be interested to see what happens over the course of next summer and the fall, and see, you know, if they do anything at all.
Yeah.
Hopefully they do.
Hopefully,
agree.
fingers crossed.
Just for, I know we've repeated this on the podcast many times, but DC Talk addressing issues that are going on today,
Yeah.
like they were
Yep.
back when they were. I mean, I know Toby Mac still does. I know Kevin Mack still does. I know Michael Tate still does. But all of them in the same room together, hitting some of these issues, would just be absolutely magnificent.
And you bring in the right producers who know how to get that kind of stuff out
if
of
there
you.
were
Oh, my
only
Lord.
producers out there that want to do it,
I know, like Paul Meany.
Ryan Teeter would be great
Oh,
to get.
yeah, that would be a good one too.
Yeah.
I saw a video of, or a picture of of Tyler Joseph and Michael Tate hanging out backstage. I mean, all the pieces are there. You know, you do with it what
I've
you
heard
will.
of Tyler Joseph. He's from
21 Pilots.
Oh, okay.
Paul Meany produced 21 Pilots.
Oh,
Ryan Teeter's from One Republic. All these guys, DC Talk fans. I don't know. Just something I don't know.
you mean there's people out there that want this?
Yeah. I
Wait,
guess.
there's not only people out there that want this, there's people out there that are famous and have the means. Paul Meany.
Paul Meany.
We
has the
can
means.
do this. Dang it. That's the whole reason we started this podcast.
Yeah, episode 100. It all comes to this. Boys,
Let's have a sit down.
we're tired. We are tired of waiting. I'm getting old, okay? I'm 40 years old.
I mean,
can't
Kanye's
wait
even
much
Kanye's
longer.
even doing it now.
Kanye is releasing more Christian albums than DC Talk.
You could even feature him. Something.
Listen,
Ooh.
Oh,
you
don't.
just give me, don't.
Okay, never mind.
You give me, listen, even if it's just an EP, 3 songs, I would be happy. I would be happy with 3 or 5 songs. Just saying.
Yeah, I would say that would be a groundbreaking thing, because you know, we talk about what Kanye might do for Christian hip hop. DC Talk, hopefully, I don't know if they could bring back like the rock and Christian music, but if anybody could,
Is that a challenge?
hey, hopefully it's accepted.
Do it, you cowards.
We're joking. We don't mean that. Sorry. We love you guys.
All right, nobody talked about.
I'm not joking. Do
Nobody,
it.
nobody mentioned Alice from last year's Model as a song.
I mean, it was your most Spotify
It
played
was.
song.
It was. You guys want to announce any
I mean, that's
new
weird.
singles coming
I
out soon,
can't.
right?
Yeah, so I'm not going to say what song it is. But in January, we should be releasing our next single. So a year apart. It's cool. Don't worry about it. It will be singles will be coming a lot closer together throughout 2020.
I know I joked with you that by 2030 you're gonna have a full length.
Yeah, we
album.
will. It'll. We actually have a different strategy on that than a lot of bands do as to how we're releasing music. But so 2020, you'll definitely see a new single coming out in January, early February at the latest. Just a matter of it's done. The song is done. It's just in the matter of production and the mastering. So
I'm excited for that because I really enjoyed your first song.
well, thank you. Appreciate that.
All right. That was 2019.
What a year!
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas!
Happy New Year.
Happy Festivus.
Thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll join us next year. Maybe we will have more fun
100 more episodes.
next year.
All next year.
Brendan
right.
will be 50 by then.
All right.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses.
We'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses. Thanks.